Good to go on the road and get a good win. I thought all three levels played well. Some things that and we need to clean up situationally to keep some points down off the board, but good to see some other guys in the game too. Think that it's a testament to all our guys playing together and team ball where some guys had some big time production, but that's not just them. It's other guys helping them make some plays. So on to Chicago and the Windy City.
In his post-game speech, he mentioned how the goal was to keep Daniel Jones in the pocket from running. How did you do that, and how does that prepare you for this upcoming game?
Yeah, good question, Zach. Players executing the plan, because you can't be selfish when you play quarterbacks with that type of skill set. And, it's really everyone has to rush together, whether you're rushing 4 or 5 or 6. You have to stay disciplined and you have to be where you're supposed to be. And I thought they did a good job of that. They knew the value of of the rush plan I'm talking, and executed at a high level. And then, going to this next upcoming game, this guy's electric. So we're going to have some tools that we use, and we're going to have to do basically the same thing because, the way that they move the ball down the field is all through the quarterback. So got a big-time challenge with that.
Safety took a hit this week again with Reed getting injured. Whether or not he plays on Sunday, I don't know. But how do you think K'Von Wallace did? I think he played a career high in snaps and 5 tackles. I mean, how would you assess how he played?
Yeah, he played well. He came in, and that's what we've been talking all along. And K'Von always gets mentioned in that he plays some high leverage snaps for us when he comes in the game. And I expect K'Von to go in there and play well. He started, however many games last year, I think 3 games, and played winning football for us. So feel very comfortable with K'Von going in, and I thought he did a good job. And anyone that has a jersey on game day, there can't be a drop-off. If we have injuries or nicks or whatever the case may be, they got to be psychologically prepped to go in the game and execute at a high level, which I thought he did.
How's Anthony Harris going to fit in here?
I think we're bringing him in for some, obviously if we're down a couple guys, he knows our system, his football characters through the roof. So we'll get him up to speed, see where he's at, and get him going.
There was a stretch where you guys were getting gassed pretty good in the running game. What's changed as far as run defense over the last 3-4 weeks?
I think just, the consistency of doing the right thing all the time, that's probably going to be always my answer to how do we play better. You got to coach it and play a little better, I think that, with some of our structures and some of our spacings, coaches have done a good job with, hey, this is why we're calling it, and these are the blocks you're going to get, and these are the, we always, we put up the X and O's, and it's cool to draw, plays up there and say, hey, this shouldn't work, or this should work, or this is a hard down, but ultimately that O has to block that X for it to work. And I think our guys have taken it to heart, like, hey, man, if you get a single, you got to win that at the point of attack, and really that's what it is, Ruben. We're winning at a high level, and so it's tough to block our front when everyone's winning their one-on-one matchup and we're in the right spot. So and knowing that there's give and take with each calls, where you're okay giving up 4 or 5 yards in certain calls, and certain calls you're not. So we're executing at a very high level, and we're winning a lot of one-on-ones right now.
Do you think they're tackling better?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't, I never really thought, we talk about tackling all the time. That's the number one skill of a good defense, in my opinion. And I know we have good tacklers and nobody's afraid. Sometimes it's the NFL. You miss some tackles at times versus some good people in space or in the core. And it's just constantly reminding our guys, hey, here's how we want to attack ball carriers. This is how the leverage that you have to hit this guy with, which makes the tackle easier for you, and population of the ball. So, I think our effort's been good, we always harp on that. And people are in the right spot, and they're doing a good job with it.
We saw Jordan's snaps increase this past week. Where is he physically, and ideally, where do you want that rotation to that breakdown to end up?
Yeah, different with each game, Dave, obviously, but I like where he's trending, and I think he'll continue to get a little more snaps here and there, but it's a good room, and it's a luxury that we have where We have those guys up on game day. All those guys play multiple positions, and they can all win. So as many as if we can keep it evened out like where it's been the last couple games, adding Sue and Linval in there, getting Jordan back, Milton, Fletch, and Grave. I really like where that's at because I do think that when they go in, they're fresh and they're ready to hunt, and that helps the defense.
JJ, it's kind of amazing that Brandon Graham at 34 can put together a 3-sack game. I mean, he's a great player over the years, but is some of that a product of having the versatility of getting guys in and out, the whole rotation, keeping him fresh?
Yeah, if you talk to him right now, I think this is obviously he's almost as old as I am. He feels good. He feels fresh. Where a lot of guys, if you're playing 75-80% of the snaps throughout, you get to December and you start to get beat up a little bit. So, with what he's done coming off the injury and the role that he's taken on, I mean, he feels good and he goes out there and he produces like all of our guys. But that's why I like the rotation of that room because it keeps those guys fresh. So, later in the game, they're not tired and they can go win at a high level. So, BG's done an excellent job as all those guys are, and he's producing at a high level, which honestly I'm really not surprised by that, Merrill. I expect him to go in and win, and he does.
First time you had Abante in a while. What'd you see from him, and how do you think he?
Yeah, I liked where he's at. It was good to get him back out there and going. I mean, he made some big time tackles. That nickel position for us, John, is critical, and he had no soreness. I think there was no kind of setback after he played because he played a lot of snaps without having played in a while. So it's good to have 29 back in there humming because we need him.
John, how is the chemistry between TJ and Kyzir, and more so specifically their ability to play in coverage allow you to deploy the rest of the defense and success there?
Yeah, I mean the chemistry between everybody in that room is very good because they all have high football character and they want to win. So typically you will have good chemistry when their football character is right. But, just those guys playing together for, however many games now through camp and, hey, this is what I'm seeing, this is what you're seeing, these are the calls that I'm expecting you to make. And, anytime when you play multiple games together, it doesn't matter if it's a unit or a couple guys standing, and those guys are unique because they're next to each other all the time for the most part. I think they feed off each other. They both have a little bit different skill sets, and I think they're comfortable and playing well together. So we got to continue to improve that with how we're doing things, as always. But, those two guys, I don't fret about any coverage or any matchup or any route concept that could come up because they both function well and they're in their right spot and they play with good technique. So like where that's at.
If you had to
The
replace
last couple of weeks, you guys have had kind of big leads in the fourth quarter, and you're able to put in a lot of guys who probably wouldn't be able to play otherwise. How valuable is that, especially for young guys like
Yeah,
you?
unbelievably valuable. I talk about there's a lot of ways to learn. To me, in my opinion, the biggest learning tool that you have are game reps. And when you can play 5 snaps here or 10 snaps here or 15 snaps here, those snaps add up. And it's cool too because those guys, they bust their ass when they're out there, and it's like you like them, get them in the game and let's see what you can do, and they want to play, and ultimately if you never want to have a guy that needs to go in and start and not having played any snaps on defense. You'd like to get them, out there and play a little bit. So those are huge snaps for us as a defense, as an organization for those guys, and they want to get out there and play, and I thought they did a pretty good job.
You had to replace
Defensive coordinators, what do you think is the hardest part of game planning for this offense?
Chicago? The Eagles' offense. Oh, Bo, I don't worry about our offense. I'm worried about Chicago right now. But obviously the playmakers we have, the scheme, and the quarterback skill set.
If you think about your coaching philosophy and your defensive philosophy, how was it shaped or enhanced by your time with Ben?
Oh, good question. Yeah, a lot. He's one of my greatest mentors, but I tell people all the time, working for Flu for 3 years, he has elite leadership qualities. And I took a lot of those with me. I really did. And he's helped me tremendously as a person and a football coach, being detailed out all the time, and how to hold players accountable all the time. And he'll be a head coach for a long time. I'm not surprised, though, that he's the success that he's had, and he'll continue to ascend, I'm sure. But he's been fantastic with my family, and we love his family, and he's a great man.
If you have to replace Reed because there's crossover between safety and corner, is it about getting the best personnel in there, or is it because you want to have more specific in terms of guys' skill set, safety, better safety?
Yeah, we got kind of multiple plans in place, Jeff, to how to, if we have to replace Reed and what we're doing with that. And I feel good about that entire room when they have to go in and play certain spots. And a lot of those guys can play multiple spots. So we'll use everybody's skill set, and we'll use everybody up on game day to put our guys in, give us a chance to win.
How different does the scout team and the practice league look when you're preparing for this?
Gardner will have some stuff. He might get tackled a little bit this week, which he might not like. But, we just got to do a good job of making sure we get our guys the looks that they're going to see. And obviously Justin's a very unique player and got drafted where he got drafted for a reason. You're not the number one recruit in the country for not having a very unique and special skill set. So we got a big time challenge ahead of us, and we got to make sure that we do a good job getting the looks that our defense needs to see, and make sure we're on the details of what that entails with each call and how to defend this guy.
Couple more.
How would you characterize your relationship and time with Matt Ingram?
A great one. I mean, it was a great 3 years for me, and like I said, that was being the DB coach for him in a completely different scheme that I've been in for basically my entire career. It was eye-opening. So it was a great 3 years with him, and I learned a ton. And I remember when I took this job, we had a really good talk, and it was, he basically said, "Hey man, you're running the show, do what you need to do and do how you want to do it. Right and wrong. And, you'll be successful and be true to who you are," which he is true to who he is. So it was an awesome experience being there.
Nick always talks about the coaching staff here, and the offensive coaches will tap into you if they want questions about how a defense will do a certain thing and vice versa. Do you tap into the offensive coaches here a little bit more this week because of Jalen's dual threat ability and Justin's?
Yeah, every week, John. I tell you guys all the time, you want to learn defensive football, talk to offensive coaches, and I truly believe that. They see the game from the offensive perspective, where we're looking at it from a defensive perspective, and the ideas, the teaching of it, the reason why behind a lot of things. What we do on defense is because of our offensive coaches' brains. And so that's been huge for me, for our staff, for, our players, even listening to Stout talk to our D-line about, hey, this is what this combo block is trying to achieve, and this is what kind of ruins that combo block if you can do this, So I use those guys, weekly, daily, and the off season's a big, when we do Eagles versus Eagles, that's a great week for us because, you just learn a lot about offensive football, and then you apply it to what you're doing on defense. So this staff is tremendous with what Nick has set up for the communication between offense and defensive guys, and there's no silos, and I'm in each one of those guys' office all the time, as the position coaches are, and it's a good back and forth. And then we talk to offensive players. You want to talk about what's hard on, if you want to play a zero or a shade, talk to Kelsey. He'll tell you. So, and we do. So the learning that has went on since we've been here from the offensive side of the ball has been invaluable.
As a follow-up to John's question about the linebackers, how has the stability of having those two made the defense better compared to last year when you spent the first 2-3 months trying to figure out that position?
Yeah, stability is good everywhere. You know what I mean, Zach? And I think those two guys really ultimately, TJ's obviously the green dot running the huddle. And the consistency of hearing a certain guy talk, make checks and adjustments, for the front and the back end. And the more you play, the guys that are out there playing for the majority of the snaps, the better typically off you are, and, a lot of times, like, there's forced communication by what the offense is doing, but we don't even have to make those calls because they know the calls that are going to be made already. So anytime you get it like that, you just function a little bit better. We were actually joking about, because in dime, TJ's out and Kyzir's in, and Fletch I'm not used to hearing his voice as opposed to TJ's, you know what I mean? And we were laughing about it because, Fletch didn't like the one call that he made, and he was right. But Kyzir does a great job when he's in there doing that. But the continuity of those two guys in there, I think, has definitely helped us.
Oh, no. It's always nice to have Britton have that the ability to be a holder in those emergency situations. I thought he did an outstanding job coming in those tough conditions. And, a lot of kudos to Rick and Jake not, really missing a beat, putting the ball down, and we were able to get all the points we could get out of it.
What did you like about Brett Kern that you felt like you guys should bring him inside?
Yeah, Brett's been a veteran punter for a long time, a really good punter for a long time in Tennessee. Very fortunate he was just out, not on an active roster right now. So having Brett being a veteran guy who's also a very good holder out there, has been in some playoff games in terms of his career. I mean, you guys have seen his accolades. He's a very good punter, so very fortunate that he was just out there. And kudos to Howie and his staff being able to be quick on it and get him on board.
We hear so much about the operation between the three specialists. How much work goes into that this week with with the new face?
Yeah, I think it's just more just them getting, used to each other right there in terms of, the cadence and how Jake likes to tilt on the ball. I'm not too worried about that, having a veteran crew in terms of Brett, Jake, and Rick, and being able to get in cahoots. I mean, we've gone through it already with Cam earlier in the season when Jake went down for that one game. So we'll just get ready for it come Chicago.
What went into Boston had a couple of big returns, kick returns. Obviously, what went into the success you guys had in that phase?
Yeah, it was, very good to see these guys come in. They've been locked in, over the last few weeks. And, we threw a little wrinkle in, not necessarily changing a lot, just a little wrinkle in terms of our blocking track right there. ZP did a heck of a job kind of cutting off the backside. And Boston hit it. He saw two, split two, and he was able to get to the outside right there. So it was really, really encouraging to see, helping the offense out with that shorter field. I think AJ scored, I think, the next play or something like that. So it's always nice for that. Then coming out the third one, it was just good, individual blocks right there. Josiah had a really good block on 47, Cam Brown, that kind of sprung Boston to the right side. And, Boston hit it, got going right there. So encouraging stuff as we get going and still building off our return game.
In just two games, Christian Ellis has got 4 tackles. He's already got a tie for third on the team. What is it about him as a special teamers player, and what took so long getting him up?
Yeah, Christian's done an unbelievable job being, when his name's called up, he's taking the opportunity to make big plays right there. He's made, like you said, 4 tackles in 2 weeks. He's done an outstanding job. He studies it. He works at it. He's been able to take coaching. He plays off some guys right there to use his natural linebacker ability right there to make some plays. So very encouraging to see Christian come out and perform so well right there. And it's just more kudos to him, being ready whenever his time comes and able to make the most of the opportunity.
That concept that the long Boston return was a new one that you put in this week. Is that based on like something you saw from the Giants, or is it playing off of stuff that you've done and throwing a wrinkle back?
A little bit of both. Every other team has a different personnel, different type of style of covering kicks right there. So it's just a little wrinkle, nothing that we haven't done in terms of our foundation of returns, was something that maybe they haven't seen before and we could catch them off guard right there. And I thought Grant also did a really good job on the front side, picking up the safety from New York right there to really spring Boston to make it a one-on-one with the kicker. And Boston saw the kicker, got to the outside and punched the gas right there. So just, something that we had seen as a staff, but it's all to the players right there. They're the ones going out there having to take, the in-game adjustments on how guys cover right there to make sure they got all their blocks right there. So it was really, really encouraging to see out of them.
As far as the block punt, I know there wasn't the normal distance between the snap happened there? Would you need to block better? Or was it just maybe Aaron needs to punt it quicker, one less step? Or, how does
Yeah, it's a situational type thing where, we go over, we just weren't 100% on that situation type thing. When you're backed up right there, like you said, you don't have as much room in terms of getting the punt off right there. So we needed to be 100% perfect on that, and we weren't. And it's unfortunate because, as athletic of a play as Aaron did right there, for him to get hurt, it hurts, as a coach and as a teammate right there. When you walk into the locker room after a big win and you see, a guy you've been spending 2 years with on crutches, and you go and try to console him and he just puts his head down. I mean, everyone's human being right there, and it hurts. I ain't got kids or anything like that, but these guys, Aaron, Rick, and Jake, I look after them like they were my siblings or kids, and having him put his head down and just try to console him, I mean, that hurts right there, but it's part of life. It's part of the game. Injuries happen. It's unfortunate. We're going to keep Aaron's spirits up, but we also have, an opportunity to go very far in this season, and he's contributed to that. So we're going to, make sure that regardless who's out there, we're going to try and, put our best foot forward.
What's the sideline like when a specialist goes down? Dealing with A, the human element, like you said. B, you're dealing with the block punt that just occurred, and then you also have to figure out what to do personnel-wise.
Yeah, and kudos to Joe P. and Tyler Brown. We have on the headsets, we're talking about it. What's next? What's coming up next? What's the next unit going out there? So it's one of those things where you can't get too high, and get erratic and lose focus right there. You kind of have to calm yourself down, take a deep breath, and say, all right, let's just take it one by one. All right, field goal blocks next. All right, let's take care of that. Nobody's on there? Cool. What's next after that? Kickoff return? Okay, let's get after that. Let's just got to take it, one play at a time. As cliche as that may sound, we do actually have to take it one play at a time, make sure we got everybody in there, make sure we've got the right personnel. Then, these guys are professionals, and, we always have a contingency plan for what happens in games. It happens probably more than you'd ever expect or you'd like, but we have usually a good contingency plan, and it's helped out with Britton going out there, holding right there. Then Jake, being that true athlete he is, was able to, 35 yards at the 25-yard line, how our defense was playing, fine by me. We'll take it as much as we possibly can right there.
Do you practice those emergency?
The play that Aaron made actually had the wherewithal to, pick up the ball and try to run for a first down and almost make it. I mean, what does that say about him, in general?
I mean, one, he's a heck of an athlete. To scoop up a ball like that, spinning in the wet conditions with one hand and take off, and the situational awareness, the ball's behind the line of scrimmage. If I get this first down, offense is going back out right there. So, kudos to him to just think on his feet and try to make the best out of it. And again, it's unfortunate that it came at a steep price for himself, but it just shows truly how impressive these guys come in and out, regardless of, when people say specialist, non-athlete. All these guys are true athletes out there trying to make the best thing for them.
Looked like you got hit out of bounds.
Penalty right away.
The drop kick penalty, was I anticipated I was ever going to see that in my career? Probably not. But kind of knowing the rules, and the specialists knew the rules as well, so they were up right there making sure, hey, this is the correct and good for the refs, have that long conversation, because I'm sure they hadn't seen that rule before. But very fortunate for ourselves in terms of putting our offense again in a good field position to score right there.
When you talk about these contingencies, Michael, where does that sort of start? Is that back in training camp when you start asking guys if they have a history of being a holder, long snapper, things like that?
Oh, yeah. And it goes back to, when you first get into the job, learning from people I've worked under, whether it's FIP or Hightower, having a contingency plan. I've been probably not fortunate, but I've been part of where long snappers go down and you have to have someone in. So you always work these on certain days. I know back when I was in San Francisco, on Thursdays after our practice, we would get our backup holder, Trent Taylor, and our backup long snapper in there, Justin School, and we just get a couple reps just to keep it going right there. In terms of if it does happen, we're ready for it, and we're confident enough to, hey, we have these conversations with Nick and say, hey, this is what we feel comfortable with, and we'll be able to out there and go and perform at the high level that we need to.
Do you guys have a contingency day here where you practice that stuff?
Yeah, we always pull these guys aside, whether it's later in the week or anything like that. Hey, just come get a couple snaps here. Just, you're not first time going out there like, oh, this is my first time in 2 months doing it. We always make sure that, you know, we're detailed up in that sense that, hey, if it does happen, we feel confident with the guys that we got going out there to get it done.
It looked like Aaron got hit out of bounds on that. Did you feel like that was a late hit penalty?
Tough from my angle on the other side of the sideline right there. Obviously the refs have a tough job. I couldn't tell right there. I was just, when he went down, obviously you go into the human element mode, like, is he okay? Then him coming off right there. So I just couldn't tell from as far as we were on that sideline.
How about on the tape?
On the tape, you know, it's a bang play. They have refs do a good job. They make the plays. We just got to live with it.
Got it. Shane, this team has scored, I think, touchdowns 7 of the last 8 games, I think, or scored points on the first possession. What goes into that, you know, the scripting and everything?
Yeah, I think it's the preparation part. I say this every week, but I think it's big. The preparation, I truly believe the separation's in the preparation every week. And the way we go about our business up in the meeting rooms and carrying it down to the players and trying to put our guys in position to make plays. Obviously, they got to go out and execute, which they've been doing. But it's the communication part and seeing what we're seeing on tape and trying to take advantage of those things.
It seemed like there were especially a lot of moving parts on that opening drive this week. What goes into like the choreography of that? And like, do you know what's coming when, and do the guys know when the person?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have your openers that you go through, and you look at what you want to run in the first 15, and you know, can that change every once in a while? Absolutely, dictated off, you know, what the down and distance is and the situation of the game. But guys have a good idea of what's coming. We always go through that Saturday night before the game of how we're going to open the game and what it's going to look like, and then we go from there.
There's been a lot of games where you guys have built a lead, you've got thrown to get the lead, and then you just start running to protect the lead. This team's ability to run the ball when the defense knows you want to run the ball, what goes into that? How do you pull that off?
Yeah, no, I think going into that game last week, you know, we thought the weather could be, you know, something that we got to be concerned about. Obviously, early on in the game, the weather held true. It wasn't, you know, too bad. The rain wasn't bad. So, you know, we thought we could be able to throw it there in that first half pretty good, and then we did. And then the rain started coming in the third quarter a little bit. And to start that third quarter, I think we ran it, I don't know, 6 in a row maybe or something. And when something's working, I say that all the time, let's keep doing it. And that's what happened in that game.
What's the like median number for dressing up a play? Let's say a QB draw.
The median number?
I mean, like, how much can you dress up a different play? And
Oh, you can do a whole bunch.
formations? I mean,
Yeah.
well, what's the max? What's the, you know?
I think
is
it's
it too much that a
endless.
player-
I think it's endless, honestly. I mean, you can do so many different things with a certain play to dress it up. And we go up there and look at different ways to do that every single week. And that's what we got to do as coaches to keep running the plays that we're good at and keep dressing them up.
In that vein, we saw that pass to Miles off of the sneak look. When do you know when it's time to throw something like that out there?
I don't want to get into the details of that, to be completely honest, but that was a good opportunity for it there in that situation.
Shane,
Shane, the
you
way-
guys had those
The way
two.
things are working on offense and the different weapons that you have, and the way the quarterback's playing, can you just not wait to get back to the office to figure out some more plays?
Yeah, no, it's pretty fun. When you're executing at a high level right now, we got to keep doing that. But the biggest thing is consistency. Like consistency. You get late into the season, like you got to be consistent with everything you do. Coaches, players, everyone's got to be on the same page of communication, because once you get late in the season, it's going to get harder and harder. So we got to do a hell of a job of being consistent and being relentless in our approach.
You guys started with those 2 long, sustained drives, and so much of this league defensively is about, you know, trying to force offenses to go a lot of plays, thinking something's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Can you put your finger on a thing or two that has made you guys so successful with these sustained drives? Because it's been pretty
Yeah, I mean,
consistent
honestly,
for us.
it goes back to the preparation and the work that the guys put in every week. And when you're on the same page and you're communicating and you're clicking, things are going to go good. Obviously, there could be some mistakes here and there, but when you got the players that we got and the way they're practicing and preparing every single week, good things are usually going to happen.
We talked before when you first got Jalen that you never really had a quarterback as mobile as a coordinator or as a
Yeah.
quarterback coach. You know, where did you Where'd you go for information? Where'd you go for plays? What were the?
Yeah, we
various
looked.
areas in which you
We
picked
took all our resources and we looked all over the place. We looked at college tape. We looked at NFL tape. All those different things that have mobile quarterbacks. What works for certain defenses. We did a lot of research on that when we got here, and then we built it from there, and that's how it went.
Was there anybody in the building in terms of like whether it was Jalen or whether it was Stout, or was there anybody else who had like kind of like a lot of expertise in that really helped out?
Yeah, obviously Jalen doing it in college. Jason Michael, Brian Johnson, they've been around the zone read option game. Those guys, are really good with that stuff. And then we build it from there, and then we take ideas, and then we kind of make them our own in some sort of ways with the formations and how we do it. But it's been fun to be a part of.
The throw Jalen made to Quez on that out against the
Yeah.
third down, Slay talked about it. Did that play stand out to you as one that maybe Jalen would have made last year?
No, he would have made that. I mean, it was just a great throw by him. And then the other one that I thought was awesome was that first third down of the game, when drives at DeVonta, the quick out. Like, he threw that ball with such great anticipation and accuracy. I mean, the guy was right on his back hip, and he let that thing go before DeVonta broke out, and it hit him right there. That was a huge play in the game.
As a play caller, Shane, who are your greatest influences?
I started with, got in the league with Norv Turner. I thought Norv just had an unbelievable feel for the game, calling the game, when to call shots. He always said, like, shoot, the best games I've ever called is when I'm not looking down at the call sheet. I've been a part of a game we played at New England when I was with the Browns, and I was up in the box with them, and he might have looked at his call sheet 3 or 4 times, and I was like, this is unbelievable. And we were rolling pretty good. We ended up losing the game at the end, but just to have a feel for the game, when to call certain things at the right time, and then obviously the players got to go execute it. But he was the guy that I started with, and then just being around all the different guys. Obviously being around Nick too. When I was in San Diego, when I first got around Nick saw the game really well. Those 2 guys have been a huge influence on me.
What makes you get?
As a follow-up, where have you grown the most as a play caller since you took over with the Chargers?
You know what? I think just situationally, from a down and distance standpoint, how the game's going, when to call certain things, how to get us back on track if things aren't going bad. I think that helps, just doing it. Just like with players, the more you play, the more you see, the more you call games, the more you see, and the more you have a feel for it, and when to call, things at certain points in the game. So I think that's the biggest thing.
On the fourth down throw to DeVonta was saying that Jalen made a pre-snap check on that. I mean, just what does that say about Jalen's ability to recognize things?
Again, it's the growth, playing it and seeing it more and more. We had, a little different route on right there, and he saw the leverage of the safety or the corner that was on him, and he checked to that inside fade right there. It was an awesome, huge play in the game. Huge moment.
Around this time, typically we see a lot of stories and stuff written about head coach candidates, and your name has been mentioned a lot. Is that a career aspiration of yours?
Yeah, I mean, if that opportunity came about, that'd be awesome. But right now, we're focused on the Chicago Bears, and that's it. I've had a few drives for sure where we've been rolling, but I'll look down at it every once in a while. But when it's going good, yeah, you're usually not looking at it.
How excited is the sideline late in these last 2 games when you get to empty the bench a little bit?
It's pretty good. I mean, just to see the guys, to be able to do that and win with those, the way we've been winning has been awesome. But again, like, each week is a new week. And we got the Bears this week. They're a young team. They got a lot of young players playing for them. If you look back, I don't care about their record, whatever it is. Like, they've had a lot of one-score games that they've been right in the thick of it. So we got to be ready to go with our preparation and take care of business.
But just in terms of getting some of those younger players a chance to get some game reps.
Yeah, no, it's great. That stuff's invaluable when you can get those young guys in to play there, because at some point, if something happens to somebody, the next guy's got to be able to step up and play. So to get those reps late in the game is awesome for them.
Couple more, please. Couple more.
Dallas Goedert back into the game.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Once Dallas comes back, it'll be awesome to have him back. Obviously, he's an elite tight end, and to have him back in the fold whenever he comes back will be awesome.
When it comes to pass protection and the running backs, obviously knowing assignments and scheme is important in having success. What else is needed to be successful in that, and how the backs that you guys have right now have done with that?
Well, I think the biggest thing is too, just the way they run the football. Obviously, it starts with the offensive line. Their departure angles on the handoffs and getting those carries, and reading their reads, whether it's a defensive end or a linebacker, and being able to hit the hole. It's been good to see. And Miles is playing at an extremely high level right now. What do you average? 8.5, I believe, last game. And he's seen it well. He's running hard. I think that's the biggest thing too. Just having a good feel for the offensive line blocking scheme. And again, it always goes back to the preparation and these meetings and doing out in practice every single day.
Would you be
Last one, please.
willing to give any detail on that preparation? Like, does it start kind of broad with a lot of fingerprints on it earlier in the week and then kind of winnow down to later in the week, or maybe it's just you and Nick fine-tooth combing it?
Yeah, no, it starts here. We install, right, when we get in here on Wednesday, we're in here as a whole offense, and we're like, hey, here's the plan, here's how we're going to attack, so everyone hears it. The receivers are in here, the blocking part of it, here's how we got to block this. Whether you're on the perimeter as a receiver, the offensive lineman, the tight ends, the running backs, everyone's hearing the same message, and I think that's big, because when you can communicate and everyone knows exactly what we're doing, right, that's when you have success. And I think that's the preparation and the process that we go through, and Coach talks about all the time is double down on the things you know and believe are true. And I think the preparation part of knowing that everyone knows exactly what's going on at all times, instead of having like you break up, hey, we're not going to install this together, but we're going to do this together. Like, we're in here together. And I think that's what it is. Like, you want to win, you got to do it together. And that's our preparation part of it.
Actually,